No.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to Carolina Takedown Talk. I'm Ryan Mitchell, joined by Rhett Hoy. We're a podcast that is presented by Carolina's Mat News and sponsored by Village Coaching. If you want to check out Village Coaching for all your recruiting needs, it is village-coaching.com. All right, Rhett, it's been a little bit since we've been on together. You took the reins last week, got to talk to the newest North Carolina AA, Jonathan Milner. So let's recap some NCAA stuff because we got some stuff to talk about, man.
For sure. It was a big weekend. It was awesome talking to Milner. John's great. You know, I thought that episode was a lot of fun to do and getting to talk to him and hear his story. Hear a little bit of the insights of the App State program that you just don't get to see just watching those guys wrestle and just kind of reading the articles to see people write. You know, it was really cool seeing Milner talk about the cultures there a little bit, throw it back to the Sewell episode. But, you know, that might not be the only thing we see from Milner. You know, I mean, he's got 2 years of eligibility due to that free year from COVID. And so you know, he's saying he wants to wrestle a lot of freestyle this offseason. I'm excited to see what he does with that. And, you know, maybe we'll come back for that second free one, you know. But I do have to say here first, we haven't talked about it since we made these picks, but I am going to have to say that I was right and you were wrong. Austin O'Connor, University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, is a national champ. Controversy or not, he's a national champ, and I called it.
Yeah, I guess they raised his hand at the end. I was doubtful. I still think Sasso had the takedown. I texted you pretty fast about that. I was like,
you did. It was lightning fast.
I mean, I don't know. It's where it gets a little subjective, right? Was that control? Was that not control when he had the foot? And then where I thought he personally had the takedown is when he had the full foot and ankle trapped underneath and O'Connor was sitting on his butt. That's when I thought the two should have been awarded, but the refs disagreed. O'Connor's national champ. It's not that I'm not happy North Carolina has a national champ. Right. Chapel Hill has one. Tony and Coleman Scott and that whole crew, they deserve it. I feel like that's just the beginning for their program.
For sure.
It just wasn't my pick. And I still
I know Carolina fans, I don't want you guys to think that Ryan hates Chapel Hill or anything, okay? He just thought that Sasso was the guy, and he just, you know, I saw O'Connor taking it.
I thought Sasso had more ways to score. And O'Connor proved me wrong, proved you right. As much as I hate being wrong, I'm happy for O'Connor and the Carolina program. I wish that you wouldn't have picked him so he didn't get to rub it in my face. But, you know, you win some, you lose some on that one. But congratulations to Austin O'Connor and his teammate, Zach Sherman. I talked about this guy, I think, a couple episodes back. But he's a real tough kid too, man. Yeah. He placed 8th at 141, so a Blair product, but he actually is a Florida kid, so Southeast getting represented there, and Tariq Wilson from NC State finishing 3rd at the same weight. Tariq looked phenomenal for NC State. And, man, I'll tell you, that was not a pin. That was not a pin. He was not pinned in the semifinals against Ironman. I lost my mind. I jumped off the couch. My kids thought that I hurt myself. I was freaking out, man. Now he probably wasn't digging himself out of that 6-0 hole that he would put himself in, but
against Ironman, I don't think so. But if he wasn't stuck right there, I mean, I know that we're a North Carolina podcast, so we're gonna take our North Carolina schools most of the time here. But I agree. I mean, like you said, against Ironman, I don't think he comes back from 6-0, but he wasn't stuck. You know, but I love watching Will
speaking of, yeah, me too, man. He's awesome. I heard he's going to move on. I wish he would use his extra year, but I don't blame guys for
him and Quincy. I believe, or him and not Quincy, Kennedy Monday. I believe Monday is moving on as well. So yeah. That's a tough one for me. You know, I really enjoy watching that guy wrestle.
Dude, speaking of no pin calls though, so if the Ironman pin call was a pin call, Renan had Warner stuck.
Had him stuck, man. Holy cow.
I
was losing my mind. I was
out of
absolutely losing my mind. It was nuts. He had him stuck. But, dude, Rainen, like, you got to finish the match, man.
Yeah, but in my opinion, he finished the match.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't like the 2 stall calls within 13 seconds at the end of the match.
That's tough.
I mean, it's
a little bit of favoritism there, but it's all right.
I think the ref got a little worrisome of what Tom and Terry were yelling at him in the dang corner, man. I wasn't pleased.
Tell which one was yelling.
Yeah, I wasn't pleased. They refused to call stalling most of the time, and I'm not trying to be harping on officials all episode, but the officials seemed to refuse to call stalling most of the time. You saw it in finals.
Yep.
And then they hit Rainen with 13 seconds left. Yeah, he should have been a little more active, probably. But dang, man, I didn't agree with that call, and like I said, he was stuck. He was stuck. Especially if Ironman pinned Wilson or DeSanto pinned whoever he would pin in the quarterfinals. Like,
yeah,
man, that was egregious.
And DeSanto like imploded. He blew himself up, man. That guy, like, brands have to figure out a way to keep him a little bit calmer, man, because he loses it. Like, I love his go get it, and I love that aggression that he shows while he's wrestling. But good gosh, man, like, somebody's got to put a leash on him.
Yeah. See, I have a slightly different take. I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum. Like, now timeline wise, I think it happened right. Whatever the incident was, they really didn't talk about it, and I don't want to speculate based on what the forums say and whatnot. But
right.
You saw Tom or Terry, I can't remember which one, kind of hyping DeSanto up in the corner, and then they sent. Man, everybody knows that Austin DeSanto, he has autism, and when you have kids that are on the spectrum like that, just like coming from where I come from, working with kids that are on, you got to give that kid some time. It's not the same as kind of having a microphone. All kids, I don't feel like, should be having a microphone shoved in their face right away, but especially right there. And I think, me personally, what his actions were wrong. Yes. I don't know what he said, what he did, and he took the punishment. That's fine. But if you listen, I mean, some of the things that Tom and Terry, and not just them, but some of the other coaches are saying in the corner, and they just get to go around their merry day. I'm like, where's the accountability for the coaches too? Right. Yeah. I don't know. I just I'm on the other spectrum where I'm like, if you're going to punish the athlete, take a look at what the coaches are saying and kind of hold them accountable too. But I don't know. Just his pin call was so fast though in the quarters. Like, that was like a flash pin and freestyle. And then the ref, like, I don't know, the ref must have been just looking at the clock or something during the Rainen call. To me, that was the most egregious call of the weekend. Like, I know a lot of people think that the Heil call was worse. I think the Rainen pin call was worse. I think the Rainen pin call was worse because he had him pinned like 4 times within that minute span. Now, the Heil one was bad. And it's bad for a lot of reasons. It's just bad for our sport to have something like that egregious happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I know I got to talk with Frank a little bit on Instagram Live. We kind of waiting for the next round to start. We popped on for about 10 minutes and talked about it. And how can you not go back and watch it and start the time from when the whistle blows and wrestling starts to whenever they go out of bounds? And like, how do you, I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't like the NCAA's answer to it. I don't like how they had the guy come out and interviewed him, and he said, oh, it's guesswork. It's like, it's not, it's time. Yeah. Like, time is the least guesswork thing of any like call that we have to make. It wasn't like the Sasso and O'Connor call was like, that's guesswork. I'll say that's guesswork every single day. Because that is, my opinion was, he put his hand there, didn't like, I feel like on that one, if he pulls that leg in just a little bit, it's 2, shows control, but just setting it there doesn't have control. Right? Like, if I put my hand on your wrist, and I just set it there, do I control your wrist? Or whenever I come here, I control it, right? And and I pull it gets gray, kind of gets foggy there. But time like that's one thing that you can
Yeah.
sit there and look at and say, no, 6.5 seconds came off the clock, come back to the middle, and that's it. You don't say, well, we can't really see it, so you get 7 more seconds. There you go. And I mean, and don't get me wrong, I don't want to gripe on that too much. And we're always thankful for our table workers, and that's a tough job. And being a referee is such a tough job, especially at such a high level. But it's just like that review system's put in there for a reason. And if we're going to come back and say it's just guesswork, what?
Well, from what I understand too about that call is like there's specified in there that they can't use like a cell phone or stopwatch to like review the call. Yeah. So that's why the time. So, but really what it boiled down to me, not to harp back on you officials, but on the officials, the table workers weren't ready to start when they started that restart. And they were trying to get the attention, but the table wasn't right on the mat like it usually is because of COVID. So it was up in the stands a little bit. So they were trying to signal to the ref, like, hey, we're not ready to start the clock. Hey, we're not ready to start the clock. And the refs didn't pay attention, just started. And that's where the whole mayhem started. Now, should they have run a couple seconds off the clock? Yes. It's kind of ridiculous. Now, I got a little bit of hot take, and people might be mad about it, but
I think I know where you're going to go with it. Knowing you, I think I know where you're going to go with this.
There's 7 seconds left.
Yep.
There's 7 seconds left, bro. Like, I mean, it's easy for me here. I'm never will be an elite wrestler like that, but put your head in the way, down block, circle. Yeah. I mean, at that point, you can stall. You have 7 seconds. Even if he touches your leg, scramble around for a little bit. Yeah. Just avoid the takedown for 7 seconds.
The only thing with that is just like that adrenaline dump. Like, can you believe it? I mean, I just like you know how it feels to win a big match, and that instant, or especially if it's like a close call, or getting that big 2 on the edge, whatever it is, you kind of get that big pump up, and you're like yes, like I got it. It's got to be tough at the national tournament for someone to say like, boom, like, and him look at the clock and think that I just won this, I just pulled off this upset.
Yeah.
And then to come back and go, hey, you got 7 more seconds. And then on the other
I
side,
agree.
On the other side, you come out and go, man, like I didn't do enough. Like I couldn't get it done. And then they say, hey, you got 7 seconds. Like you got a second shot. I mean, that he was going as hard as he possibly could. And so it's just, there's both ends of that. Like I agree with you, and especially from a coaching aspect, it's like, man, you got 7 seconds, figure it out. Like run away if you need to. Like throw the Heisman move on him. Like let's go. And but at the same time, it's just that's a tough call. I hate it for Heil. Like he put together everything he needed to put together. And just kind of the cards didn't fall the right way for him. But, I do want to hit on NC State a little more. And Trent Hadley, runner-up, he finished a great season. Obviously, I had him picked to win it. Fell short. But, and then Hayden Hadley, I think he was one of the biggest surprises for me this weekend on where he finished.
Being 5th instead of, I picked Carr over him because I thought, I picked Carr just because I thought Carr was going to be a little better attacking legs.
That kid put it that weekend.
Yeah. I never would have picked him to finish 5th. Now I wouldn't have picked Ryan Deacon to lose on the other side either, but I wouldn't have picked Hayden to finish 5th. But there's something to be said for losing that semi and kind of having that like dream kind of snapped and then having to recover. But big news out of NC State for Hayden is that he's coming back. He's going to wrestle 174 next year, so he'll be back-to-back. Hadley's in the lineup. It's going to be pretty sick. So he's going to bump up 2 weights, and we'll see. I mean, some people are skeptical. I think weight is weight. If you put the right weight on, it doesn't really matter. I see him being able to translate his style to whatever weight. So I'm excited to kind of see him at 174. it's going to be crazy. We're going to have some 5-time All-Americans next year, 5-time conference champs. It's going to be kind of this weird thing with that free eligibility year. That's what you were kind of referencing with Milner, is that he's a redshirt junior, and next year he'll be still a redshirt junior because it's a free year from the NCAA. So he technically has 2 more years left. So we'll see if he uses that and how that goes forward. And I'm excited for his future. I think he's only going to improve. He wrestled O'Connor tough in the quarters.
O'Connor just slowed him down with that front headlock. And and O'Connor's good at slowing people down, man. I mean, he just like O'Connor isn't one of those guys that he's going to blow you away with his attacks, I don't think. But he wrestles smart and he puts people in positions that they're not great at. And that's just what he did with Milner. He slowed him down. He slowed him down and he got out on bottom. And it's just, I think Milner, whenever we talked to him, it was, his big focus this offseason is freestyle and trying to get a little better on his feet. I think he puts that in. He's going to be dangerous. But, the last
he has that good, inside reach single.
Yeah.
He has that good, inside reach single that he hit. Yep. He hit that several times. Yeah, he gets it. He just reaches with that inside hand, scoops it up. And then sometimes he just has to reach across and kind of knee pick on the other side sometimes and finishes that takedown. But if he develops a few more attacks and kind of gets a little more efficient and finishing on his feet, his top game is a game changer in folk style. So, we talked about that. You tweeted that out on our social media account. So, he's definitely someone to really watch out for. But Campbell had Heil in the blood round, aforementioned Heil, which was kind of crazy. Heil, Fine Silver from Duke, and Milner were all in that same bottom quad. Like only one of them was going to come out as the AA, and Fine Silver and Heil wrestled to wrestle Milner. Yeah.
Yeah,
and Milner beat Fine Silver to AA.
Really wrestled Milner pretty tough. I mean, that was a good match.
Yeah, he's good, man.
He kind of surged back there a little bit. Like I said, I think Duke's going to have some pretty good things coming out of there with Thomas.
Yeah, I think it was a down year, but I think they're going to rebound back. Especially, man, they're in a tough situation with their scholarship situation too. Like people don't realize that they're not a fully funded program at all. So I don't know. Well, what are your overall thoughts about the team race? Like Iowa won, but I walked away Saturday night.
But did they? Because
I walked away Saturday night feeling like
tough to tell me that Iowa was the best team in the nation whenever Penn State showed out the way they did.
Oh yeah.
It's just
I'm not going to go too far with it. I mean, some of the Penn State fans on the forums are like, "Oh, we'd rather have the Florida champs than the national team title," and that's a straight out lie. They're just trying to tell themselves that.
You're lying.
But yeah. I mean, Iowa won. They had the better overall team, but man, Saturday night's finals belonged to Penn State. They just looked amazing, and they scored when they needed to. I mean, they beat Iowa head-to-head twice on matches that they had lost previously with Starachi and Lee over Ironman and Kemmer. And man, they did the thing. It was I said this to Coach Jackson, one of our mutual friends. I said, I am never going to pick against the Penn State kid in the finals ever again, ever.
Man, it's tough. It's tough to now, and it's one of those things that like my brother and I, Robert, we've had that conversation before where, I've asked him, like, if you had to pick somebody in college wrestling right now that's your favorite, like who isn't? He's probably like Penn State. I mean, like what Kale has done there and just how cool and calm and collected they are. And just all of his kids seem ready for the moment. Like whatever they're faced with, they seem ready for it. And, I mean, they showed out. It was a great finals run for them,
Oh, for sure. For sure. All right, man. Let's move on to some high school stuff. Let's get to back to our Carolina roots here. And let's talk. Season is upon us. We're getting closer.
We're counting it down. We are almost here.
I know you and your Inca guys are excited. Might be excited to take second in the state tournament this year. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, come on now. I don't see that. All right. I think we're preparing and we're looking great. We've got some kids that really look good.
I hear you. I'm excited to watch you guys. I'm gonna get out there and get to a duel or something. But before we get into like the public school state championship, I do want to hit some highlights of the independent state titles that kind of went down. They had that a few weeks ago. We just kind of had back-to-back episodes with NCAAs going on and D2 NCAAs and everything. But I just want to shout out some of our top kids in the private school area. So Caleb Campos, this kid is like a 170, 182 pounder. He's on the big board for the 2022 class. He's a junior. Won his third state title. He just bumped up to 195 just because he can, and he stuck everybody. He made it look easy. His dad sent me his his dad sent me his finals match, and good night. He looked good, man. I really wish we could see him, and the seasons kind of coincided, and it was a normal year where we could see him against some of our top public school kids. Yeah. I mean, he went up to West Virginia and won the recruiting showcase that was up there. He's definitely a kid that we're going to see from North Carolina do some big things nationally post high school. I really like that kid a lot.
Right. Now, what year is he?
He's a junior. He's a junior this year. So watch for him. I'm interested to see kind of what schools kind of have him on the radar.
Has he started his recruiting process? Are any teams really looking at him or anything like that?
I'm sure he's having some teams look at him. I have no inside knowledge about what those teams are.
Right.
But I have a feeling there's some pretty big names that are going to be watching that kid. And then another 3-time state champ, Hudson Jones. He wrestled heavyweight. He's another guy that's an actual national preps AA, and he won his third state title just pinning everybody as well. Just made it kind of look easy. And he's another kid, man. We have a really great heavyweight crop right now in North Carolina with Jameer from Southern Guilford, and Tristan Norris and Levi Andrews and this Hudson Jones kid.
Right. So, is it Ryan Walker from
Ryan Walker. That kid's
Conover. Yeah, he just committed to Pembroke, or he signed with Pembroke, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he committed back in the fall, signed kind of recently, right? Like right in the January area. He's good. Yeah. He's great too. So our crop of heavyweights in North Carolina right now is great. Between all those guys, and I would like to see kind of where Hudson is with the public school kids, especially kind of like that Tristan Norris type tier, and Ryan Walker as well, because Walker wrestled Tristan really tough back at like the state folk style something, or it was in Tennessee in Gatlinburg, but he looked great. And then Trey Fong, he's a freshman, won his first state title. Pretty much bonus. He bonused his way. Yes, bonused his way through. Looked great doing it. He's a kid that I have on my freshman big board. And then this kid that Caden Hagler, he did great as well. Providence Day, he rolled Tech Fall in the semis, major in the finals. So kind of went untouched. He's a kid that's been really active this all season, kind of a bubble big border type kid. Not a kid that's on there yet, but he's pushing. And then there's a kid I really honestly didn't know much about. Didn't know much about him up until I was kind of looking up some stuff pre-state tournament. Nathan Nisko. I think he trains at C2X with the Ross brothers and all the Cata guys. But he had a pin in 39 seconds in the finals.
Wow.
Which is super impressive. But then I was kind of like looking through his results, and he actually teched the aforementioned Fong in a duel they had earlier this year. So he teched the kid that won another weight at the state tournament. So pretty impressive showing. So all those guys did well. Charlotte Latin won the team title. They had 5 finalists, 1 state title guy. So they did great job with that. So kind of a weird year. They kind of weird that their season's done, right? And I've heard some rumblings that national preps might happen in May. So that's a big gap to wait. Big gap to wait for those guys.
Yeah.
But I really am looking for Fong and Hagler and and Nisko, and then especially Jones and Campos to be doing some big things at national preps. Watch out for those guys if that tournament does occur, which I'm hearing some things that they're on the right track. So
Yeah.
we'll see what's going
looking
forward.
Up for them.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. I don't think that our private schools, I don't think they get all the respect they deserve all the time. I think that they do have a lot of kids that can come in and compete and win state titles at 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A. I mean, they still have studs, and so like you said, I agree. I wish we had a regular season this year that we could see them kind of clash and intertwine with some of our public school guys and, some of the bigger names and see how they stack up.
Yeah, hopefully next year, since most of those guys return, I'm hoping next year we'll be back on the normal schedule, and maybe we can see a lot of those teams are kind of Charlotte based. So maybe at the Holy Angels tournament, we see them enter that and be fired to have that. So, dude, Rhett, so those people don't know, you run our social media stuff and do an awesome job with that. You put out this poll about top wrestlers in North Carolina. What kind of stuff do you see?
Man, we got a lot of different names. Our biggest ones are going to be Seeley. That kid is Joe Seeley. He's getting a lot of hype right now. And from what you're telling me, I haven't got to see him wrestle yet. From what you're telling me, he's the real deal. So,
dude,
we'll see if he can live up to it. Monteperto, or I always butcher his name.
Montepetro. Yeah, Montepetro.
There we go. Sorry, bud. He was on there a lot. Norris was on. Jeremiah Price, but the one that I was surprised that kind of kept on getting left off was Landon Ford. I don't know if that's because he's coming off an injury, off of that surgery. We kind of talked about it off air a little bit where, I think it could help him out. I think that little bit more time to recover and get back to 100% might be helping him out. But it's tough. Like, how do you have a guy that's about to go for 4 and not put him on the list? For me, he's at the top of the list. And second's going to have to be Tristan Norris from up here, just because I've seen the kid in person, how much of a monster he is.
Dude, Tristan is a monster, isn't he? So good.
Yeah,
so good. Is. Yeah, obviously showing the country that. So too, I was surprised by that too when I saw you like reposting the polls and stuff, that a lot of people were leaving Landon out of that.
I had numerous people kind of comment on them on the answers and be like, how is 4 not on here? Like, where's 4? Yeah. How is everybody forgetting 4? I had coaches reaching out and everything else. And, I had a few coaches reach out and say like, well, where's our guy? Like, where's this? And, hey, look, if we do a poll and your kid doesn't end up on there, like, we're not trying to slight you guys. We're not trying to slight your program or anything else. But, on the poll, that's everyone else answering. If you have a list, send it in. Like, if you think your kid's on there, fight for him. I do with our guys. I think Grayson Harris is one of the best juniors in the year of the year this year. I think he's going to be a monster this year, and I'll go to bat with anybody who wants to fight that. I think Torres and Arts are going to be up there, by the end of the season. I think they're really going to prove people wrong and be up there and really make title runs and make big jumps this year. Same thing with Maxwell. I mean, I'm going to fight for my guys. So I challenge you guys to do the same thing, that if you don't see your kid on there, and you think he should be, put him on there, fight for your guy.
Yeah. Hey, all high school coaches, Rhett is inherently biased to his kids. So he's gonna and
you're gonna have to prove me wrong, okay? And I'm gonna fight for them.
He's gonna leave your kids off on purpose. Anything you send him, he's not gonna post.
Come on.
I'm just kidding. So no, but to back to the original point, I think people have kind of not forgotten about Landon. I think he's in the forefront of their mind because he's been kind of coming back off that injury and hasn't been competing where all these other guys have. He wasn't a Super 32 or Grapple Fall Classic, but man, they shouldn't. Yeah, that guy. The very first thing I wrote for Jason Fulmore in Southeast Wrestle was the 2A. The 2A individual tournament preview. And in that, I said that Landon Ford's leg attacks are college ready. And I still believe that, obviously. He gets better angles and he sets up his attacks better than anyone probably in our state right now. And he's going to continue to do that when he gets back. He was injured and he's going to be back. And I have full confidence he's going to be bonusing people like crazy when he gets back, just where he was. So
For sure.
I definitely saw that. I noticed that Landon kind of didn't get the love he deserves.
He kind of got snubbed on all those, man. And I know that, I know that Seeley's a big name right now in the state, and everybody has really high expectations for him. And I'm not trying to doubt him or anything else. I haven't seen him wrestle. I haven't had to be able to see him, so I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see him. I've heard a lot about him. I know he's got the attention, he's got the hype. It's just can he live up to it?
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind he will. 0 doubt, 0% doubt in my mind. You're talking though to
you are pro Joe Seeley, huh?
I am like the conductor of the Joe Seeley hype train. Like I think he is next level. I really do. I think him. Yeah, probably. Honestly, I was one of the ones that's 100% behind him. I think him and Trainer and Cypher and Joplin.
Yeah, Trainer was another one, and Joplin were both on there. Yeah, I didn't mean to leave you guys out. But y'all were definitely mentioned a lot. Trainer was on just about all of them, I think, and Joplin was on. I think he was left out of like 2, where I was kind of looking at the other names, going like, man, that's a good list, but the only ones that are missing are 4 and Joplin there.
Yeah, Cypher, Norris. And then Kyle Montepetro, obviously, he's nationally ranked right now, so he's one of the top kids in our state. And then Cage Williams, another guy. If Joe Seeley wasn't what Joe Seeley is as a freshman coming in, we'd be talking about Cage Williams the same way. I think people are kind of sleeping on him a little bit just because Joe Seeley's same age coming in as a freshman. But Cage Williams, man, that kid's really, really good too. He pushed Holden Cypher last year, right after Holden bonused his way through the state tournament. So those to me are the kind of the top guys. Jeremiah Price, Cage, Joe Seeley, Montepetro, Cypher, Joplin, Trainer, and 4. I just want to bring it up because I think people are forgetting too much about Landon 4. He's about to, as everything goes all right with our season and we make it to the end, which is looking pretty good right now. Landon 4 is going to become our next 4-time state champ in North Carolina, and well deserved too. And
looks like he's going to be at least. Looks like he's leading the charge for a few kids to follow up with him. We've got a few on track right now that he'll be the first one since I believe 2009. Yeah,
since Creed and
first one. Yeah,
since Creed and Mock did it together that year at 135, 4A and 3A.
Yep.
We haven't one since now. Quincy Monday did win 4 state titles, so I do want to make sure we mention that.
The only thing was they weren't all here, so I don't know if we claim him as a North Carolina kid. That's a tough debate.
It's definitely one. I took some flack from that on Twitter a while back, like a couple months back. But for me, I don't count him as a 4-time North Carolina state champ. He didn't win 4 North Carolina titles. Just like I don't count Dennis Gustafson as a 2-time North Carolina state champ. He won 1 here in North Carolina, and then he won 1 in Virginia, right? Yep. So we can't have it both ways as far as that goes. So I do count Quincy as a 4-time state champ, just not a 4-time North Carolina state champ. And he obviously is doing huge things at Princeton. So I'm really excited for him to get back on the mat next year. But just want to make sure I pointed out that people are forgetting about Landon 4 way too much.
They're sleeping on him. They are sleeping on him, man. And I think whenever he comes back out and when he starts teching people and really starts
they'll remember quickly.
I think he'll make him remember fast. He's a good kid. I'm excited to watch him work this year. I'm a big fan of his.
Do you think we've ever had the hype about a kid like we have about Joe Seeley though? I
don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Not in a kid that has not wrestled an actual high school match before. I know he's wrestled high school kids. I know he's bumped up and he's beat, good kids and he's wrestled well, but he has not wrestled in a high school single yet.
Yeah.
And we are, I'm hearing things that, he's going to be the best wrestler to ever come out of North Carolina is some of the predictions.
Yeah, I mean, Landon Four actually said that himself to me on Instagram a while back. He said that if Joe does what he thinks he's going to do, he's going to be the best kid North Carolina's ever seen. That was from high praise coming from Landon, right? So,
and that's big. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
I hope he stays. I hope he doesn't end up going to a prep or anything like that. I hope he does stay in the state. But to answer your question, I don't think we've ever seen this much hype.
No.
At least I don't remember it. If we have, I haven't heard of it.
I think it's a combination of things too. Like social media and video wasn't out there like it was.
Right.
Now I remember there was definitely lots of talk about Landon coming in. I heard about him pretty quickly before his freshman year, and I was still coaching at that time. And people were like, "Do you know about this Landon kid?" And they were talking about him in middle school and stuff like that. And then Montepetro being a Super 32 middle school champ, and then Ethan Oakley got a lot of hype too with his Super 32 middle school title, and all of those guys have lived up to it. And then jumping back all the way to a guy that's my age, Chris Bollins, man, people were hype for Chris Bollins,
who is arguably, and I know we've talked about kind of having an episode in the future of kind of talking about the history a little bit and kind of going through who we think the best is and best coaches, best programs, and also not just who's the best, but just historically, just who I know we're going to talk about Atwood and the huge things he did at Parkland. But Chris Bollins it's tough to argue that he's not, I think he's the best wrestler North Carolina's ever had at high school, at least.
I'm with you. Yeah, me too. I mean,
you got to put John Mark Bentley in there. You have to
for
put
sure.
John Mark in there. Coach Bentley from App State. You have to put him in there. His feet, but man, Chris dominated people, and he did it injured.
Yeah, especially those last couple of years.
Yeah, he was a Spencer Lee before Spencer Lee was Spencer Lee.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm on record of saying this to you off air, and I don't mind putting it on air. When I watch kids, Chris Bollins is still the best kid I've seen wrestle in our state. Just watch it, and there's others too. Like it's not just four-time state champs. Like John Burns, when John Burns was a junior, senior, that guy was one of the best wrestlers we've ever seen. Eloy Palma out of Cary.
When he was a monster.
So good, right? So good. I mean, Drew Forshee, 4-time state champ. Dusty McKinney, 4-time state champ. Those guys were awesome.
Parker Von Agony was a monster. Nick Key.
Parker, Nick Key. Those guys. But even all those guys, I still just, when I watched
Richard
Chris
Tolston
Bollins,
was a good one. Tolston, Drew Turner. I mean, that's kind of a little bit of my time frame. But, I agree that
Vincent Ramirez from Riverside. Yeah, Vincent Ramirez. Yeah, guy when Riverside, Colton Palmer was one of the best guys I've ever seen. Travis Coffey, those guys, all those guys. But still, even to this day, thinking about the recent graduates too, like the Donald Cates, the Kobe Earlys, man, I don't know. There was something about Chris Bollins
Bollins was different, man.
He was different. He
could beat you anywhere you wanted. He could beat you anywhere you wanted to go.
So,
and that was what was so crazy about him, But I don't know. It's early to talk about it. Just because he is a freshman, but do we see Joe Seeley in that conversation with Bollins when he wraps up his high school career?
Yeah, I mean, so that's the hard part right now is because he is just a freshman, right? He is just a freshman. So 4 years is a long time. A lot of things can happen. As far as just staying healthy, and I hope the best for him. I want him to stay healthy. I want him to be able to complete his career. If he is able to just do the things that I think he's capable of, man, he's gonna be the best kid that is gonna come out of our state. I'm very high on him. Watched him in person wrestle Torrey Moore, who got 5th place at 145 at 4A last year, and he did the thing, man. He looks phenomenal doing it. And he's been doing it all over the place all season. So I'm really excited to see that kid compete on the high school level as far as in-state, and just kind of, I think it's going to be kind of crazy as far as the hype that'll build by the time he's a senior. But speaking of Joe Seeley, let's talk some storylines for the year. I did an article a while back for Southeast Wrestle. I put some storylines in there. I'm going to update it right as the season kicks off, like as the competition starts off, not today. So, man, I don't think we can talk storylines without talking about this is the weirdest year ever, right?
Yeah, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. Gonna be, we just finished our, D1 nationals, D2 nationals, and we haven't even started practicing. We can't even get in the room. High schools can't get in the room together yet. So it's insane.
It's crazy, right? And we're only going to be doing duels. There's no dual state championship, which I know a lot of coaches want that. You know me, you've known me for a long time. I'm not a huge duels guy. I like the individual tournament better. But I think the duels are an important aspect because it shows another team win. So I don't know. It's going to be a weird year as far as that goes. And we were talking off air right before this, the whole not wrestlebacks thing, condensed brackets at the state tournament. I'm still
8-man bracket, right?
Yeah, 8-man bracket. I still I go back and forth. It's a long way away. So I'm hoping that maybe that'll change. I'm an optimist, so I'm hopeful we just get our full tournament. Other states have done it. Ohio did it. Pennsylvania did it with full wrestlebacks. South Carolina, Virginia did it. Yeah. So I'm hopeful we can get that done as well and just kind of give these kids the best experience they can. I think we're still waiting from what I saw on the forums. I've been a little out of touch the past little bit because I've been really busy at work, but I've seen that the OPC hasn't really been opened up yet because the health department, North Carolina Health Department, is still trying to approve the guidelines for wrestling season, which is kind of weird considering like what we just stated. Like all these states have already, Georgia's done it, South Carolina, Alabama, Virginia, Pennsylvania, they all have had their season. Ohio, they all had their seasons already. The college season already happened. So it's kind of weird that they're still trying to figure all that out. But hopefully that gets done pretty quickly because what was it? What'd you say? Like 16 days or something like that, or 19 days or something like that until we kick off practice or something like that, supposedly. Yeah,
it's just we're so close and we don't even know really what's going on yet. Have they even released if the kids have to wear masks when they're wrestling this year?
None of that's been released
yet. Having to wear masks. Is that something that we're gonna have to kind of face? With that, like our coaches kind of having their kids practice with masks on. Like, hey guys, we might need to get used to this. Yeah. Let's try this out. I mean, are they, or is that something we're gonna have to prepare for? Is that something that's going to change? This is gonna be the craziest year. And it's just, it comes down to, like you said, that one-day state tournament. It's going to come down to, look, you have to bring it that day. You got to wake up and ready to be a state champ that day. There is no, wrestle one good match or, wrestle one match that doesn't feel great. Second one feels good. Third, and kind of warm up and get through the tournament.
No easing into it for sure. It's just gonna be go time right away.
When we start the season, you better be in mid-season form. Like when we get going, these kids don't have that time to slowly kind of get into this. We're hitting and we're getting a sprint. Like we got to go. It's gonna be crazy. I'm excited. There's gonna be some big things this year. Big weights to watch. I'm excited about the coverage, man. I know.
Yeah, dude.
That we had talked about a little bit.
It's going to be, regardless of it being a weird year, it's going to end up being the best coverage our state tournament's ever had. And I'm saying that as I'm going to do my best to give it the best coverage ever. Yeah. Like I have some big ideas heading into that one-day state tournament. And then when we return to the 3-day state tournament, I got even bigger ones. Oh, yeah. And then it kind of worked out for us to be pushed back because Jason Fulmore from Southeast Wrestle, like all the other states in the Southeast are done.
They're done, yeah.
So
he can come watch ours.
We'll come watch ours. He's going to be super focused on ours and not have to worry about splitting his time. And then Frank is obviously going to be there and doing his thing. And so
my question for Frank, I know last year he wore a different shirt each year. Is he just going to do a different shirt each session? Like, is he just going to have a backpack that he just goes in the bathroom and kind of pulls a Clark Kent and, just changes that every session.
He might.
What are we doing here?
He might be trying to do like everybody try to find him type thing. But between him and I and Jason, you'll be busy coaching. But I'll get you between rounds or something to get a little update in. I promise our listeners that we're going to have the best coverage that a state tournament's ever had. I want to amp this up and get our state tournament a little more notoriety. And
that's kind of one of the reasons we started this, that we started this podcast is because we want our guys in our state to feel like, hey, you guys are being watched. Like, there's people that care about this, man. Like, we want North Carolina wrestling to grow. And I think that our state tournament is so unique compared to other states. Other states, like a lot of North Carolina kids don't realize this. Other states have their state tournament in a high school gym, where it feels like any other tournament. It's just, they don't have that special atmosphere like North Carolina does. Man, like North Carolina, we're so lucky that that the state does care about it, that they get to have this awesome state tournament that I definitely want to bring more attention to it. I know you do, because they do such a great job. For the finals, that like this year they had the spotlight come out, follow the kids right now, introduce each kid from each side. And it was awesome. Mm-hmm. Like, I remember I had the worst, just butterflies waiting for Corbin and Colby, listen to their names getting called. That it was just like, man, I feel like I'm going to wrestle right now. This is insane. Like, this is so cool. And I want our sport to grow in the state, and I want our athletes to get the recognition that they deserve, that they're earning, because I do think that we have some of the best kids. Landon 4, you see, he's going for 4 this year. Joe Seeley, he could be the future. Not just North Carolina. If he lives up to the reputation that he has now, if he lives up to the hype, that's a national. That's a kid that's being on the national spotlight. And so
100%.
I'm super excited, and definitely excited with the 3-day, whenever we can finally get back to 3-day tournament. I know that we've talked about it before, trying to do, maybe some nightly updates, like different things that we've talked about, interviews, maybe. There's just so many cool things that we're going to be able to bring and do that I'm really excited for our listeners to get to see that. I'm really excited for you guys to see what we have, planned for you. We've got some big things coming up, but it's awesome because we're able to do that because we've got some big names. We've got the talent to draw the attention to, without them, we don't have anything here. Without our listeners, without the athletes in North Carolina, we don't, we'd be sitting here talking nonsense.
Yeah. I just excited, man. I think it's, with it being pushed back, at least we get some silver linings with Jason be able to focus on it. Frank and I'll be there, giving it the best coverage we can. So you want to talk a little more about these storylines here, as far as classification by classification, kind of some of the things
1A,
that stand out.
I think we can skip over 1A. Avery's going to destroy everyone. Avery's going to run the table. Sorry to anyone else in 1A. Hey, Robin, Coach Odom, love you to death, man. But I don't think anyone can touch Avery this year. They are so stinking good.
One of the things, though, to watch in 1A is, speaking of Coach Odom, is Cage Williams. I'm telling you, Cage Williams. You are big on Cage, man. You are excited. I am big Cage Williams fan, man. I really am. He's not your average freshman. I'm telling you. Wait, you're gonna see him at Inca. He's right here in our West North Carolina. You wait. You'll be like, this kid's a freshman. You won't believe it, man. I'm telling you, the hype is real for him too. I'm very excited about him and Kyle Fink being back to back in the lineup. Just wait. And then speaking of 4-timers, right? We're talking about Landon 4. We got Levi Andrews, who's at Avery, one of their big point scorers. He's probably gonna wrestle heavyweight this year. Yep. He's gonna try to stay on track for 4. So he'll try to go for title number 3 this year. Now, Landon 4, if he wins, he's going to be the heaviest 4-time state champ in our history because he's won at 170 and then won 182 the past 2 years, and we'll see where he ends up this year. Yeah, but I don't think that title stands for long. Yeah, it only lasts 1 year because Levi Andrews winning at 220 as a freshman and sophomore. Yeah, that kind of that's kind of cool to have some freshmen winning a little bit heavyweights. And then we talked about it a lot on the girls episode, but Heaven Fitch looking to repeat. She's a heavy favorite, in my opinion, heavy favorite. So it's going to be interesting just watching that dynamic of her coming back to the mat, being a heavier favorite than she was a year ago. I think she makes history again and just kind of even propels herself more into the national spotlight. So those are the storylines I'm kind of looking at 1A. And like you said, Avery's team title is pretty much locked up already.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to jinx him or anything, and I don't want to no disrespect any other 1A program, but whenever you're that good, you get that respect. And I think that they showed it to us last year that they are that good. They really, I mean, they are. It's just there is no.
They're good.
Yeah, they're solid. I mean, I think the last year they were one of the best teams in the state, and I think this year they're going to be. It's tough to say that they wouldn't win it in 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A.
Yeah, they'd be right in the mix for any classification.
They'd make a run at it, but we can go and bump up to 2A. I mean, of course, the first storyline is going to be 4 going for 4. Landon's looking to make that history, and like we said before, be the first time, be the heaviest, and also be the first one since 2009 to do it. And then, but not only him, but the rest of his boys. That 4 versus Caddo race is going to be
it's gonna be so sick. It's gonna be awesome. Yeah. Ford versus Caddo. It was like that last year. We'll see what happens. We talked at length on the first episode about the team race, so I don't want to dive back into it until we kind of see how it shapes up, but it's going to be fun. And then a team to watch, man, is Surrey Central. That's where I'm hearing Joe Seeley's at. So Joe Seeley at Surrey Central with Jeremiah Price, Jacob Price, and Stephen Campbell.
Lineup right there, man.
That's 4 title contenders. But I mean, Caddo and Ford both have four title contenders themselves. So I think it's gonna be a pretty fun race there, specifically between Ford and Caddo. But Surrey Central's one to watch for sure. And then,
question for you: do you put 2A right now as the best classification in the state?
Oh man, I don't know. I always have a hard time because it's so different. I'm trying to compare.
I mean, I just know that 3 of your 4 big board number 1s are in 2A.
So here's how I kind of look at it right now. I think the best individuals in our state just happen to be in 2A.
Okay.
With Seeley, Price, Montepetro.
So who do you think do you think that 4A? 4A still. I know that 4A has always had the history of being the toughest one to win it in. And they're the most tough kids. So do you still put 4A in there?
I think 4A team-wise is the toughest right now. And then probably depth-wise, which that makes sense, right? Like depth-wise, they should be the toughest because they have the most kids at their school. So I think that, but I mean, it's kind of ironic, though, that all 4 number 1s on the big board are 2A schools right now. So I think the best individuals right now, all 4 number 1s are at 2A schools. But depth-wise, 4A, team-wise, 4A right now.
Right. And then,
speaking of Montepetro there, going for 4 or going
I'm
for
glad
3.
You said his name because I still can't. I'm going to work on that, Kyle.
I could be butchering it too. You never know.
I will figure out how to say your name before you win your 3rd state title. Okay.
He's a great kid, man. I really like his style, but he's going to stay on track, try to win number 3, which his weight around him is going to be pretty tough, I think, but he's obviously a heavy favorite just with kind of what he's done so far. I mean, he's pretty much bonused his way through all of his state tournaments. So, and then 3A, I know you're going to disagree. We've talked about it before.
Look, we've already talked about it. We talked about it off the air. And
Central Cabarrus, man, I think they're the favorite. I know you and your Inca boys disagree, and you have every right to, and y'all are going to be in the thick of things. But I'm liking Central Cabarrus' chances, especially in this format too. If there's going to be no wrestlebacks, which is what would help you guys out. So I don't know. I'm high on Cedric Cabarrus and the crew they got there. So the Baglios and Jackson.
I still have to disagree 100%. Okay. I still think that we're the team beat. I think we're it. Looking at our room, I think we're solid. You know, we've got a murderers row right there. And we've got kids that are excited to get in there, and they're excited to fight for the program. You know, we've got kids that they feel like they're getting overlooked. You know, they feel like that they are getting overlooked, that their name should be out there. And I think so. You know, and we've got other kids that they don't really care that their name's getting overlooked, because they look at it and say, well, guess what? I'm going to win the state title this year. And they've been working, you know, and you can see it. We're going to have some big surprises, and I'm excited. I'm excited for us to prove you wrong. Nothing against you guys over at Central Cabarrus. I think you guys do have a great program, great team coming up, but I just think that I think we're the team to beat. Okay, that's it. That's it.
Hey, we'll
think we're the
we'll
team.
See what it happens. We'll see what happens when it comes down to, and then we're gonna watch at 3A Trip Collins try to go for number 3. He has a great story. If you guys don't know his story, you should dive into it a little bit. I don't want to go into too much, but great story about adversity, you know, overcoming adversity. And then Marcus Jackson and River Carroll and Hunter Lewis are gonna, or Will Lewis, excuse me, they're all gonna look to repeat after state titles last year. And then for 4A storylines, it's all about that wild team race to me, man. Yep. I am so hyped for that. I am so excited for that. It's going to be bananas. We went into it a bunch already.
I think it's going to be the best team race that we've ever seen in this state this year. I really do. I think that we've got some awesome programs up there that I'm excited to see. You know, I think Huff's gonna bring it. I mean, Laney's ready to bring it. They're like Norman. Man, it goes on, Mike. It's going to be nuts, and it's going to be who can. I think it's really going to come down to the coaches. I think it's going to come down to which head coach can have his kids ready to go. You know, who can be the Kale. You know, who can be Kale Sanderson this year and have his kids ready to go. I think that's what it comes down to. You know.
Yeah, I think you're right. Last year's team race is going to be hard to beat, but this one's going to be better. So I'm excited for Helene and Ho and Lake Norman and all these schools. It's going to be bananas.
Yeah.
Mooresville, yeah. It's going to be great. And then we talked about a little bit already on this podcast today, but Richard Trainer going for number 3, West Point commit. He's moving up a few weights. It looks like he's getting bigger.
Yeah.
I still think no matter what the weight class, he's going to be a heavy favorite. He's just that good, sneaky good on top. So underrated on top.
Yeah, he is. I think that's going to carry over into college. He's going to be a monster in college.
Yeah, I think he's going to do really big things for Kevin Ward at West Point. So really excited. It's crazy to me. He's already a senior. I remember watching him as a freshman at Holy Angels tournament. I remember because he AA'd at Fargo before the season started that summer, and freestyle that summer before the season. So I knew right away I wanted to watch him when we got to Holy Angels, and just watching him, I was really impressed with him. He looked, honestly, he was a little undersized that his freshman year. So impressive for him to have that freshman season he did, and then he just hasn't looked back, right? Just continually getting better. And then to close out storylines for that, just Holden Cypher and Joplin looking to repeat. They finally got their first state title last year. I say finally, not in a bad way, but they just kind of right at the top 2 years in a row. Yeah. And they were able to get that state title last year and bonus their way to do it. So excited to watch those guys kind of cap off amazing careers, historic careers for their programs.
Now, Joplin's heading NC State, right?
Yeah, actually, it's Holden Cypher and Joplin are both going to be at NC State. Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah. Wow, I didn't realize that.
I'm excited to see what Pat Pop can do with them, because he's a great developer of talent too. We've talked a lot about John Mark being really great at developing talent, but Pat Pop's really good at it too. And Joplin and Cypher, and we got Donald Cates there, who really excited to see him get in the lineup next year. I think he's going to be a difference maker on that level. So all those guys. So storylines going in the year, I'm excited to see how they develop and what ones kind of come into play and what rivalries get going. And I think we're going to have some really good weights heading into next year too. But I think we should save maybe next week, kind of dive in weight by weight, maybe some weights that stand out to us about what guys, maybe some sleeper guys. I got some guys that I put an article out a while back that were non-state qualifiers last year that everyone should have on their radar going into next year. So I'll bust that out. It's on my Patreon page if people want to go check that out. But I'll bust that out and kind of talk about that next week about what I picked one from each classification that was a non-state qualifier that people need to have on their radar because they're going to come in and compete this year. But let's talk weight by weight next week and kind of have an idea of which guys are contending for titles and stuff.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and put it out now that guys go ahead and look out for a poll on what's the toughest weight this year. What is the toughest weight and what's the toughest classification this year? I want to hear it. I want to hear y'all's opinions. You know, we love hearing from you guys. And I do want to kind of reiterate this, that if y'all disagree with anything we have on here, let us know. We love talking, heck, we might even bring you on here and let you talk to us with us about it. We're all for it. We want to grow this. We want to grow this thing. We want to grow the sport. If y'all have something to say, if y'all disagree, if y'all agree, if y'all love something we say, if we hate it, or if you hate it, let us know. We're open to it. We love to talk. We both do. We are open to the feedback. All right. But watch out for that poll this week. It'll be toughest classification and toughest weight class this year. So join us next week, guys. We're going to dive into that.
And this podcast is presented to you. Yeah, and this podcast is presented to you by Carolina's Matt News, Mr. Frank Smithwick, and sponsored by Village Coaching. If you want to get recruited in college or looking for a recruiting angle, Village Coaching is the place for you. It's village-coaching.com. Visit him, check it out. Tell him Ryan and Rhett set you there. All right, guys. Thanks for listening.
See you guys.